The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for EDI 201, the next level of understanding of electronic data interchange. This is Jackie Thomas. I'm with the Mapadoc team. I am a consultant, and I will be teaching you this class today. Before we get started, though, we are going to take a couple of polls to kind of let us know what the level of understanding of EDI for our listeners, so that we just have an understanding there. So I'm going to let Helene launch that poll.
We're going to give it about another 10 seconds. It looks like most people involvement with EDI is less than a year. So a lot of people pretty new to EDI, which is great. Okay, I'm going to launch the second one. All right, looks like we're pretty mixed here. We have a lot of yeses and a lot of nos. We're going to give it another second or so. All right, you're good to go, Jackie.
Okay, great. Just so that you all know, there is a handout available. So if you look at your screen at your where it shows you your sharing stuff, you'll see where it shows handouts, and there's a PDF there that you can download. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So today, we're going to cover the definition of EDI, document set, some business processes, the document flow and the ERP, fulfillment models, and the implementation guide. So we're going to start off with what is EDI to make sure that you all understand exactly what EDI is. EDI is electronic data interchange. It's an electronic communication method which allows trading partners to exchange business documents, such as purchase orders and invoices, with suppliers and manufacturers. These transaction sets are structured documents containing data segments and elements utilizing agreed message standard and versions. The documents are traded all over the world using public communication networks called WANs, or through direct connections between the two parties. Once these documents are sorted through the WAN, the data is sent to the appropriate mailbox. A translator retrieves the mail and maps the data into the appropriate format, enabling it to be easily read through the recipient software. We have some different types of EDI documents. The most common types are the PO, also known as the 850. Depending on your trading partner relationship, the PO may be inbound from a customer or outbound to a supplier. The invoice, which is also known as the 810. The invoice can be outbound to your customer or inbound from your supplier. The PO acknowledgement, or the 855, and the advance ship notice, which is known as ASN or 856. These documents are often required by most trading partners. We do have grocery documents, and the grocery documents are the inbound PO or 875 and the outbound invoice or the 880. These two documents are very similar to the 850 and 810, but they're used specifically in the grocery industry. For automotive, we have a few different documents. The automotive industry can have complex EDI requirements. One of their main documents is the 830, which is the planning schedule with release capability. It provides the trading partner with an electronic sales forecast that, depending on the trading partner requirement, can be used as the sales forecast, a forecast and authorization for the recipient to commit resources, or as a forecast that includes order release levels. The senders of your 830 planning schedules are typically manufacturers communicating with their suppliers. As such, the two trading partners represent the buyer, which is the manufacturer, and a seller, which is the supplier. The planning schedule allows the seller to plan resources such as labor and material and to fulfill orders automatically based on the customer's inventory level. 830 transactions that include a material release are like source authorizations, period-to-date cumulative quantities, and shipping or delivery patterns for weekly, monthly, or quarterly requirements. This can eliminate the need for the customer to generate separate purchase orders. This information in a single 830 transaction can relate to all production items sourced from a given supplier. While the 830 transaction may include shipping information, it's based on forecast. Are you looking for a shipping schedule? Then you would be looking at the 862 document. The EDI 862 shipping schedule transaction set details actual shipping requirements. These shipping instructions would replace those forecasted in a previous planning schedule 830 transaction. Though the 862 does not actually replace the 830. The 862 transactions are important for supporting just-in-time, which is JIT, manufacturing, because they provide detailed shipping requirements on a more frequent basis than the planning schedule. In a just-in-time environment, an 862 can be triggered by product usage. That is, once the quantity of an item in inventory dips below a restock level, the 862 can be used to notify the supplier to replenish that item immediately. The 830 planning schedule document works together with the 862 transaction to support JIT manufacturing. The forecast data provided in an 830 helps the supplier manage materials and other resources. This ensures the appropriate on-hand inventory of an item is available when the supplier receives an 862 from its customer with instructions to ship that item. The instructions to ship an item can change, particularly in a real-time manufacturing environment. The 862 transaction accommodates this, as it can be used to provide changes to previous 862 instructions. Such changes may include decrease in order quantity, increase in order quantity, a change in your ship date. As a result, a manufacturer may send multiple 862 requirements on the same day for the same item, simply revising the order. Finally, the warehouse documents are used by companies to communicate with their third-party logistics suppliers, which are your 3PL or outsourced warehouse. The 943, 944 documents are used between the company and the warehouse when transferring stock between locations. The 940, 945 documents are used to tell the warehouse to ship stock to a trading partner and then inform the company that the stock is shipped. There's a number of additional EDI documents that aren't listed on this slide as they're not required as often. Next, we're going to take a look at the business process and where EDI fits into it. Does anybody have any questions on this before we move on?
And just as a reminder, everyone, if you do have a question, you can type it into the questions section in your GoToWebinar pod throughout the entire presentation.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on then. The business process consists of steps required to accomplish the task at hand. In this case, the trading partner wants to order from the supplier and have them shipped to their location. Without EDI, the trading partner would pick up the phone, call the supplier, place an order. The supplier would enter the order into their ERP system, fulfill and ship the order, and then mail the invoice to the trading partner. Several days later, the trading partner would receive the invoice, enter it into their ERP system for payment, and the payment will be sent by mail. What kind of challenges does this business process present without EDI to assist? Well, there is a large potential for misunderstanding the order. There are lots of manual data entry. There's a potential for data entry errors, very long lead times and delay of payment, and very inefficient process on both sides. From the supplier side, this business process consists of the steps that are required to accomplish the task at hand. In this case, the customer wants to order items from the trading partner and have them shipped to their location. Without EDI, the customer would pick up the phone and call the trading partner to place an order. The trading partner would enter the order into their ERP system. They'll fulfill and ship the order, and then they'll mail the invoice to the customer. Several days later, the customer would receive the invoice, enter it into their ERP, process the payment, and send it by mail. The same challenges exist in this business process present without EDI to assist. There's again the potential for misunderstanding the order, lots of manual data entry, potential for data entry errors, long lead time and delay of payment for the trading partner, and very inefficient process on both sides. So the business process that is order to cash with a warehouse. This process consists of the steps required to accomplish the task at hand. In this case, the trading partner wants to order items from the supplier and have them shipped to their location. The supplier in this case has a 3PL or an outsourced warehouse, so the business process gets a little bit more complicated. Without EDI, the trading partner would pick up the phone, call the supplier, place an order. The supplier would enter the order into their ERP system, and then they'd call the warehouse to fulfill and ship the order. The warehouse would confirm the shipment with the supplier, so they could then send out the invoice to the trading partner. The same challenges exist in this business process without EDI to assist. The potential for misunderstanding the order, lots of manual data entry, potential for data entry errors, long lead times, and delay of payment for the trading partner. Very inefficient processes on both sides for the trading partner and for the customer supplier. Several days later, the trading partner would receive the invoice, enter it into their ERP system for payment. Next is the order to cash. It's when the PO is sent from the trading partner to the supplier via EDI. You don't ever have to talk to anyone. With integrated EDI, the purchase order is pulled into the ERP, processed through the cross-reference tables, and the sales order is created in the ERP. No manual data entry. There's a much smaller opportunity for error, and it's a big time saver. In response, the supplier sends the PO acknowledgement, or 855, to acknowledge that they received and accepted the PO. Sometimes the PO acknowledgement includes acceptance information at the line level, depending on the trading partner requirement. The 855 can be set up to be sent automatically on receipt of a PO. So if you always are accepting all of the orders, you can have that set up automatically. Before the truck leaves for the trading partner, an ASN 856 is sent via EDI. Again, with integrated EDI, most all of the information required for the ASN is automatically populated in the document, reducing the opportunity for error. The ASN must arrive before the truck arrives at the dock, or else. Once the shipment's on its way, the invoice is created in the ERP system and sent to the trading partner via EDI, cutting days from the payment cycle as there is no waiting on snail mail. Of course, your supplier gets paid a lot quicker in this instance. The PO 850 on the supplier side is sent from the customer to the trading partner via EDI. Again, you don't ever have to talk with anyone. With integrated EDI, the purchase order is created in the ERP, processed through the cross-reference tables, and sent to the trading partner via EDI. No manual data entry, much smaller opportunity. Once the shipment's on its way, the invoice is created by the trading partner and sent to the customer via EDI, cutting days from the payment cycle as there's no waiting on snail mail. When the invoice arrives at the customer, it is processed through the cross-reference tables and brought into the ERP as an accounts payable invoice, and then the invoice is paid by the customer. The warehouse for a 3PL, the warehouse is the middleman. The warehouse in the middle makes the document flow more complex. But remember, with integrated EDI, much of the process can be automated, which makes it so much easier, and all you have to understand the flow. The process starts the same. The PO is sent from the trading partner to the supplier via EDI. Again, you're not talking to anybody. With integrated EDI, the purchase is pulled into the ERP, processed through the cross-reference tables, and a sales order is created in the ERP. No manual data entry, much smaller opportunity for error, and a big time saver. In response, the supplier sends the PO acknowledgement 855 to acknowledge receipt and acceptance of the PO. Sometimes the PO includes acceptance information at the line level, depending on the trading partner requirements. And again, the 855 can be sent automatically on receipt of a PO. If stock needs to be moved between a warehouse, a 943 warehouse stock transfer shipment advice is sent to the warehouse with instructions on what is heading their way. Once received, the warehouse sends back a 944 warehouse stock transfer receipt to acknowledge receipt of the stock. Once the stock is in its place, the supplier will send a 940 warehouse shipping order, similar to a PO, to instruct the warehouse to ship the items to the trading partner. And in response, the warehouse sends the 945 shipping advice to the supplier, letting them know that the items have shipped. Before the truck leaves for the trading partner, the ASN 856 is sent via EDI. Again, with integrated EDI, most all the information required for the ASN is automatically populated in the document, reducing the opportunity for the error. The ASN must arrive before the truck arrives at the dock, or else, depending on your relationship with your 3PL, the warehouse may send the ASN or you may send the ASN. Once the shipment is on its way, the invoice is created in the ERP and sent to the trading partner via EDI, cutting days from the payment cycle as there's no waiting for snail mail. Any questions on that segment?
I don't see anything coming in. Thanks, Jackie.
Okay, great. So now we're going to talk about the different types of fulfillment models. What is a fulfillment model? There are many ways to fulfill customer orders, whether it's B2C or B2B. Let's first talk about B2C. B2C consists of drop ship, which is when a consumer orders an item from your e-commerce site and the order is forwarded to another party who then ships it to the customer. There's self-fulfillment, which is when you pick and pack the boxes and then send them out to the consumer. Amazon FBA is when the consumer orders through Amazon. Amazon stocks your goods and fulfills your orders. Amazon FBV is when the consumer orders through Amazon and the order is sent to you to fulfill. EOPIS is when the consumer buys the item online picks it up at the store, and you would be working with the store in one of the B2B models. So let's talk about the B2B model. First is 3PL. That's your third-party logistics supplier who provides warehouse space or even fulfillment options. The orders are placed by the trading partner, and you pass the order on to the warehouse to fulfill. Ship to DC or distribution center. That's when a multi-store trading partner orders in bulk and has you shipped to the distribution center. A variation of the ship to DC adds the requirement to mark for store. The order would be segregated by store, and you'd be required to package the orders for each store separately so the DC could easily forward the orders to the stores. Then you have the ship to store. That's when the orders are packed and shipped directly to the store. And again, we have the drop ship or ship to consumer. The consumer orders from the store forwards the order on to you to ship to the items to the consumer. Does anybody have questions about that before we start our next section? Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on then. Okay, so what is an implementation guide and why is it important? The purpose of an implementation guide is it outlines the X12 transaction set standard. It contains the format and establishes the data contents of the applicable transaction set for use in the context of an EDI environment. The transaction set can be used to provide for customary and established business and industry practice relative to the billing of goods and services provided. The beginning of each guideline contains the summary of how the document is broken down. It shows the ISA, GS, ST segments that are actually handled through your translator. It provides the overall guidelines for preparation of the map and MapDoc. This is the tool that all of the consultants use to make sure that your documents flow in from your trading partner to your system seamlessly. So an example reviewed over the next few slides will cover the following. We're going to cover the DEG, which is the beginning segment, the TV5, which are the carrier details, and the PO1, which is the baseline item data. There's a lot more involved in an implementation guide, but these are a few of the main fields that we'd like to discuss. So for the BEG segment, you'll notice up on the upper left side, it tells you the name of the segment, BEG. Over to the right, it tells you that it's a heading and that it's a mandatory document. Below that, you'll see where it says user option usage, and that is must use. So when you're sending this document, you must use this BEG segment. Under the REF, you have the different elements that are within the BEG segment. You can see this one is showing us BEG 01, 2, 3, and 5. It skips 4 because 4 is not required. Next, you will see under the REQ where it says M. M is for mandatory. That means that is required. It must be used. They tell you again off to the right where it says usage must use. Your Big Max in the middle there says a minimum of 2 characters to a maximum of 2 characters. So when you're setting up your map, you know that the minimum that they're going to censor this field will be 2, and it won't be more than 2 characters. Next on here, they're showing you the description. So the description for this is the code identifying the purpose of the transaction set. So the code that they're requiring on this is a 00 or 00. That stands for original. Next in the BEG02, they're telling you it's the code specifying the type of purchase order. Again, it's a must use. They're expecting to see OS, which is for special order. Next, you have your BEG03, which is your purchase order number. And there's a little description below it that tells you that identifying number for purchase order assigned by the order purchaser. It's giving you some information, user note 1, and telling you that the PO number must be returned on all EDI documents. Example, the 856 ship notice. So if you have outbound documents, you need to make sure that this is mapped to a field that can be returned on your outbound. Next, they're requiring the BEG05. Again, you can see there's an M under the required, and under usage it says must use, and they're going to be sending the date, and they're telling you how they're sending that date: century, year, month, day. Next, we're going to go to the TV5 segment. The TV5 is carrier details. Here they're telling you that this is in the heading and that it's optional. So some trading partners send it, some don't. This particular one, where it says user option usage, it's telling you that it is used. So in this case, they're going to be sending the TD502. It's the qualifier. It's telling you that this X means it's not required, but under usage, you can see that it is used. And they're telling you the description means it's a code designating the system method of code structure used for identifying the code. So we call these qualifiers. So the qualifier that they would be sending for this is 2, and 2 stands for your standard carrier alpha code, which is your stat code. I'm sure you've all heard of that. In the TD503 is they're telling you they want you to send the actual stat code. And then in the TD512 is the service level code. So they're telling you you can send CG if it's a ground shipment, ND if it's next day air, SE if it's second day, or ZZ if it's mutually defined. And a lot of times we handle this by a cross-reference table, a ship to cross-reference table, or it's mapped on the inbound document to a UDF. Down below, there's some syntax rules. You will see that they're telling you that at least one of TD502, TD504, TD505, TD506, or TD512 is required. So in here, they're telling you they only want the TD502, 503, and 5012. So if they're telling you that only one has to be included, you need to make sure that that TD502 is in there. Okay, and then it also says that if you send TD502, you have to send TD503. So you can't just send 2 with no stat code in the next record. Now we're going to move on to the detail segment. This is where they tell you that, what item that they're going to be sending in, what the unit of measure is going to be, how much it's going to cost, and how many they're ordering. So here you can see this is PO 101. The PO 101 is a line number. Not every customer trading partner sends in this. You can see here that the requirement says O, which is optional. They do use it, so you may or may not get it for this specific trading partner. PO 102 is your quantity ordered. It's always in the field. PO 103 is your unit of measure. If your unit of measure in your system is different than, say, this one, which is each for EA for each, if it's different in your system, such as case, then we do a cross-reference table, an item cross-reference table, and we use a unit of measure conversion. So that will convert your case to their each. So on your sales order, you'll see it still in the correct format. Again, we have PO 104, which is your unit price. And the unit price, if you're using a unit of measure conversion, will multiply out accordingly so that it matches up with the correct value. PO 106, 07, 8, and 9 are sending in various item descriptions. So here you see that they may send in EN, which is your EAN UCC 13 characters. They may send EO, which is the EAN UCC 8 character. They could send the UK, which is the EAN UCC 14 character, or they may send the UP, which is your UCC 12 character. So depending on what they do send, it depends on how we map this. So the field PO107 here is the value that matches with the PO106. And then in PO108, in this particular case, they're sending VN, which is the vendor's item number. And in PO109, they're sending the actual item number. So depending on what your trading partner is sending, how you have it set up in your system, whether you need a unit of measure conversion or not, will all depend on how we're going to map this to your inbound, whether we're going to do it to your item number. And you can use your item number if they're always sending your item number exactly as it is in your system. If sometimes they send your item number and it's different, then you're going to need to use a cross-reference table because it has to match up exactly, or it will cause an error when it comes into your system. Other things that are sent in the PO1 segment are the SKU. A lot of times they send the color, the size, various items such as that. So does anybody have any questions?
Doesn't look like it, Jackie. We'll give it a couple more minutes, or I should say a couple more seconds. Well, here's some important information. I wanted to point out to you that our product management is Siobhan Finder. Here is her email address. Please note we have our new SPS Commerce email addresses. Our support has a new direct phone number, which is 800-905-4383, and can still be reached at support@mapadoc.com. Our sales team can also be reached at sales@mapadoc.com. And you can check out our Mapadoc log on https://sbscommerce.com/Mapadoc. Thank you very much for your time today, and I enjoyed this presentation with you. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks again. Have a great day.
All right, thank you all.